Welcome to Yum Paleo. Today we're going to make a paleo almond bread with walnuts and cinnamon. Now, bread is something that people have been writing in a lot about, and it's a tricky one with paleo because obviously you can't use gluten. So we're going to be playing with a few different bread recipes, and today we'll use almond butter. So almond butter is a tad expensive, but it makes a really good bread, and we are going to play with other types of bread such as pumpkin, which is a bit cheaper, so if this is too expensive for you, check out those recipes, but this is a really nice option. So to start with, we're just going to pour our almond butter into a big bowl. Use the biggest bowl that you've got for the almond butter because this is where all the ingredients are going to end up. And we're just going to blend this with some egg yolks. So I've separated 4 eggs into the whites and the yolks. And I'll just mention right now that an important thing with the bread, we've had a few runs of this, and you just got to follow the recipe really exactly, and especially have your oven preheated. So we've got that preheated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 150 degrees Celsius, and that's on bake. And once we put the bread in there, we won't take it out again. We won't open the door until it's finished. Okay, so I'm just adding the egg yolks to my almond butter. And I'll blend this. It's somewhat blended, doesn't have to be too blended, because now we're going to add a tablespoon of honey. And I just left the tablespoon in some boiling water just so the honey comes off easily. Some apple cider vinegar and some almond milk. And now we'll give it another blend. Okay, so now that's a really nice consistency, and we'll come over here and beat our egg whites. Cool, so they're all looking pretty good. And now we have our dry ingredients. So this is just a little bit of coconut flour. Not much at all, and we've got cinnamon, and this is baking soda. So baking soda isn't paleo, but it's up to you if you use it, but you really need it if you're going to bake bread. And that's good to go. Now we've got some walnuts, so we'll just roughly chop them. This is about 3/4 of a cup of walnuts. Adjust it as you like, and obviously you can play with this recipe and add different spices or add different nuts if you choose. Alright, and now is the moment of truth. We're going to mix all our ingredients together. So we're going to go the flour into the almond butter mixture, and then our egg whites in, and we'll mix that all together and then put the walnuts in. And so at this stage you want to make sure the oven is fully preheated, and you've got your loaf tray oiled up with some coconut oil or olive oil and some baking paper ready to go. Put the flour in there, and beat that. The main thing is that we want to make sure everything's mixed in equally, particularly with the baking soda in there. It's going to start reacting. So just turn it. Give it one more go. Now it's ready to add the egg whites. So the egg whites Don't be afraid of it, but also try not to over mix it. So I try to stop about this point where there's still some egg whites going on, and just give it a bit of a turn. Make sure everything's off the bottom of the bowl. And this is a real batter as opposed to other bread where you make a dough. And I guess that's just because we're not using any gluten. So this comes out really nice, makes nice moist bread. And now I'll get the walnuts and just throw them in there. Give it one last turn. And I think that's ready to go in the oven. So, here's our container. So we're just going to pour the batter in. Alright, and so this bread batter is ready to go in the oven now. So, just the main points again. We've done some trial and error with this bread recipe, and we've found that it's best to cook it on about the second shelf up and on bake, and just make sure your oven is preheated. And also there's a little dish of water in there, and it just keeps it nice and moist. So we'll put this in. And once you put the bread in, you really need to commit to not opening the oven until the recipe is done. Alright, so I'm going to set the timer for 45 minutes. And there we go. We'll come back when our bread is done. Alright, now our bread is finished cooking, so we're just going to take it out of the oven. Looks pretty good. And we'll let it sit for about 10 or 20 minutes just to cool off, and then we'll take it out of here and slice it up. And we're also going to make a pretty simple guacamole, but you can really have this bread however you like. Savoury or some sweet jam or something like that on there. So we'll come back and slice it up. Okay, so our bread's had a bit of time to cool, and I've cut some slices. And we've made some guacamole. So now I'll just cut a few more slices. Holding together pretty well. Throw a little bit of chunky guacamole on there. And there you go. Here's our paleo almond bread with walnuts and cinnamon. Enjoy.